One of the biggest reasons why students plateau on the MCAT isn't that they're lazy, okay? In fact, a lot of the time, it's the opposite. You push harder and we grind more and more, but we don't see that effort actually reflected in our scores. And that can rock our confidence, deflate our motivation, and cause us to burn out or honestly question whether or not we're using bad resources. Now, a lot of the time, we're using good resources, but we're using them for the wrong job. So in this video, I want to give you a simple framework for how to actually use different MCAT resources, right? Review books, videos, flashcards, question banks, full lengths, all of it. But before we get into it, drop a comment below and let me know what phase of prep you're in right now. Content review, practice questions, full lengths, or just full-on panic mode. I ask because the resource that you need depends a lot on where you are and what you're trying to achieve. So with all that out of the way, I'm Hunter Enright. Let's get into it. The easiest way to understand MCAT resources is to divide them into three buckets. Okay, there's acquisition, there's application, and there's retention. That's it, right? So acquisition means learning something for the very first time. This is where you build the initial understanding of a topic. You encounter a concept, you work through the explanation, and your brain goes, all right, I see what this means now, I get it. Application means taking that concept and actually using it to answer questions. This is where you bridge the gap between, all right, I understand it when someone else explains it to me and I can use it in a passage under time pressure. And finally, retention means making sure that the information doesn't disappear from your brain 2 weeks later, because it will try. Okay, that's not you failing, that's just memory being really annoying. And here's the whole kit and caboodle, all right? Different resources have different jobs. Review books, content videos, courses, right? Detailed outlines. That's usually acquisition resources. They help you learn or relearn the material. But question banks, passages, section style practice, full-length exams, those are all application resources. They force you to use the material. And finally, flashcards, spaced repetition, quick sheets, and review sheets, those are retention resources. They help you keep things accessible over time. And the problem is that students mix these up constantly. Okay, we try to use Anki to learn biochemistry from scratch, right? We watch content videos forever when the real issue is that we haven't practiced enough. So don't take full-length exams, see a bad score, panic, and then just go back to grinding questions without taking purposeful steps to fix anything. Or worse yet, go back and watch videos for hours. Right? That's like going to the gym, testing your max bench press every day on a single rep, but never actually doing strength training. And then you're not, getting any stronger and you're wondering what the heck's going on. So each resource has a job, and your job is to know when to use them. Okay, and this actually brings me to one of the biggest mistakes that I see in resource use on the MCAT, okay? And that's Anki. Now I'm gonna say this as clearly as possible. Anki is a retention tool, not a learning tool. And before the Anki people start like cracking their knuckles and getting ready to tear me apart in the comments, I'm not saying that Anki is bad, okay? Far from it. Anki is a great resource when it's used correctly. Anki's fantastic after you already understand a topic. It's terrible when you use it to replace that conceptual understanding in the first place. So here's usually what goes wrong, all right? A student encounters a concept that we don't really understand. Maybe like renal physiology or electrochemistry, enzyme kinetics, whatever, it doesn't matter. They make a flashcard, right? We review it a bunch of times and eventually, we can recognize the card and we can spit back the answer. And that feels like we're learning something. But a lot of the time it's just surface level, and the MCAT really requires a deeper understanding. So sure, you learned what phrase goes with the answer with that card, but you didn't really learn why that's true or how it connects to other ideas, or better yet, how the MCAT is going to disguise it in a passage. The MCAT doesn't care if you can recite definitions in a vacuum. It cares if you can take a concept and use it in a super weird experiment or a clinical scenario or analyze a graph paragraph or a passage where the wording is designed to make you uncomfortable. That requires understanding, and flashcards alone don't really build that. So here's the rule, okay? Learn first, then make flashcards. Use a book, a video lecture, an explanation, a tutor. Just actually build the mental model, and then use Anki to keep that model fresh. And be careful with pre-made decks. They can be useful, sure, but they can also become like fake productivity. If you're just doing hundreds and hundreds of cards every day, but your practice questions aren't really improving, the cards aren't really solving the real problem. The best flashcards usually come from your own questions. Not everything in the entire universe, but your gaps, your mistakes, the things that you actually needed but you didn't have on a question. And that is how Anki becomes a very powerful tool instead of just a time sink. And honestly, if this is about to save you from doing like 900 flashcards tonight while quietly losing your will to continue, do me a favor and hit that like and subscribe. It really helps the channel and it tells YouTube that this was actually useful. And yeah, we would really appreciate it. Okay, now let's talk about acquisition resources. Review books, content videos, courses, outlines, these are important, okay? You need to do content. The MCAT isn't just like critical thinking vibes. There is real science on this exam and you need to know a lot of it. But the mistake that students make with content is that we become too passive when we're doing it. We read the chapter, we highlight things, we watch a video and nod along, and it feels productive because time has passed and information has touched our eyeballs. But that doesn't mean that learning has actually happened. Passive studying feels like traditional studying, but active studying creates true learning. So when you use a review book, don't just read to finish the chapter. Build a usable explanation in your mind. Before you start a section, look at the headings and ask yourself, all right, well, what do I already know about this topic? Even if the answer is, all right, I don't know basically anything, that's fine. You're waking up your brain. Then read a small chunk, stop, close the book, and ask yourself, could I explain this in normal, everyday human language? If you can, great, keep going. But if you can't, slow down. Okay, that is the point where learning is supposed to happen. Honestly, same thing with watching videos. Don't just let the video wash over your eyes while you half watch and half scroll. Pause occasionally and ask yourself, okay, what was the point of that? Or how would I explain this to someone else who doesn't have a science background? You don't need to write down every sentence. In fact, copying everything often becomes another form of passive studying. Your goal isn't to create a beautiful notebook that future archaeologists are going to admire. Your goal is to understand the material well enough to use it. So a good content session should always involve some sort of friction, okay? Not misery, not suffering for the sake of suffering, but your brain should be doing something. It should be predicting, explaining, connecting, or testing itself. That's the difference between just consuming content and truly learning content. Okay, that was acquisition, how to learn the material. Now let's talk about application resources. Practice questions are where a lot of MCAT score improvement actually happens, okay? Not because doing questions just magically raises your score by itself, but because questions expose the gap between what you think you know and what you actually know. And that gap is where the points live. The biggest mistake that students make with practice questions is treating them like a scorecard or a scoreboard or a score something, right? We do a set, we get a percentage, and then we feel good or bad about ourselves, and we skim explanations for the ones that we miss, and then we move on. That's not true review, okay? That's just repeatedly finding out that we're super stressed out. A real review asks, why did this happen? Every missed question should fall into one of a couple categories, okay? Was it a content gap? Great, we just didn't know the science. Was it a reasoning issue? Okay, well, that means that we knew the content, but we didn't connect it to the passage correctly. Was it a passage issue, right? That means we missed data, misread a graph, ignored a variable in a paragraph, or honestly, we just lost the plot of an experiment. Or it could have been a test taking issue, right? Were we rushing? Did we second guess ourselves? Did we get baited by an answer choice or a trap answer? Or we refused to let go of a question that was eating our time, okay? Those are different problems and they require different fixes. If you missed a question because you forgot the difference between, I don't know, like competitive versus non-competitive inhibition, great, easy peasy, that's a content issue and maybe a retention issue. Go relearn it and then go make a targeted flashcard. If you missed it because you knew enzyme kinetics, but you didn't understand what a graph was showing us, well, that's an application issue. In order to fix that, you need more practice interpreting data. If we missed it because, we narrowed it down to 2 answers, and this happens all the time, we just end up picking the answer that sounds more complicated for no real reason, well, that's a test-taking pattern, and you need to notice that. This is why review matters so much, okay? The score report tells you what happened, but reviewing tells you why it happened, and the why, that's where your score improvement comes from. All right, we've opened up this can of worms. Let's talk about how to review questions without wasting time, okay? So the simple way to review practice questions properly is first, do the question under timed, realistic conditions, okay? Focused, no distractions, no notes. Secondly, before you look at your answers, mark whether you were confident, unsure, or just straight up guessing. Okay, and that matters because not all correct answers are equally good, okay? If you got it right because you understood it and you executed properly, great, fantastic. But if you got it right because you just kind of guessed between 2 answer choices and got lucky, that doesn't count. And we still need to review that, right? And if we got it wrong, but our reasoning was close, that information is useful too. So once you go through that, then review the explanation and ask yourself these 3 critical questions, okay? Number 1, what was the main idea? Number 2, what did I miss? And number 3, what would I have done differently next time? And that last one is huge, okay? You're not allowed to just write review fluids or study amino acids. That's way too vague, okay? Write a lesson in a way that's going to change your future behavior. For example, right, you could write, on graph questions, identify the axes before reading the answer choices. Or when a passage gives a mutation, think about how that mutation changes structure, function, or regulation, right? Or lastly, like if the question asks for the most direct effect, don't jump 3 steps down the pathway, right? Those are how you actually turn one question into a reusable lesson later on. And this is also where your retention system should come from, okay? Your flashcards should grow out of your missed questions. If you miss a question because you didn't know a fact, great, make a basic definition card. If you missed a question because you misunderstood a relationship, okay, well, make a card, but that card should emphasize the relationship. And if you miss a question because you got tricked by a pattern, well, maybe not write a card, but write down that pattern, right? Your review process should feed your flashcard deck. That way your deck becomes this personalized, hyper-concentrated deck of your actual weaknesses instead of becoming a giant swamp of every MCAT fact that has ever existed. Okay, while we're on the topic of flashcards, let's talk about how to actually use them effectively. So once you've learned a concept, flashcards are great for retention. But even here, a lot of times we can make that process way too passive. All right, the bad version of flashcards is basically, you see the front of the card, you kind of recognize it, and then you flip it, and you say, all right, yeah, I knew that, or oh, okay, I guess I need to know that. And then we just move on. That's not retrieval practice. It's like a confidence scam that we're running on ourselves, truth be told. The whole point is to force your brain to retrieve the answer before you look. So when you see the front of a card, stop, try to answer it, say it out loud, write it down, or explain it in your head before flipping it over. And honestly, my favorite version of this is the whiteboard method. You look at the front of a card, and then before you even reveal the answer, you just word vomit everything you know about that concept onto a whiteboard or a piece of paper or something. Draw the pathway, right? Write the equation, explain the relationships out loud, connect it to other topics. Then flip the card and compare what you said versus what the card says. If it wasn't on the board before you flipped it, then you probably don't know it as well as you think you do. And this is especially useful for big MCAT ideas like nephrons, metabolism, hormones, circuit, optics, amino acids, experimental design, etc., etc. Because for the MCAT, isolated facts matter less than connected understanding to everything. A flashcard can help you remember that aldosterone increases sodium reabsorption. Sure, no problem there. But you also need to be able to connect that fact back to water movement, blood volume, blood pressure, potassium secretion, the kidneys, the renin-angiotensin-aldosterone system, and what happens to any of those systems if they're disrupted. That's what gets you into those upper percentiles. So yeah, use your flashcards, but just don't let them become a way to avoid deeper thinking. And honestly, if you want a place to practice all this, Jack Westin's got a ton of free MCAT resources, including flashcards, practice questions, textbooks, full-length exams, everything else. But the point isn't to just collect every resource and hope that one of them saves you. The point is to use the right resource for the right job. So, if there is one thing that I want you to take away from this video, it's that every MCAT resource has a specific job, okay? Some resources are for acquisition. They help you learn the material in the first place, but some are for application. They force you to use the material, and others are for retention, which help you keep the material in your brain long enough to actually use it on test day. Now, most students struggle because we use the right resources at the wrong time or in the wrong way. So if you're learning something for the first time, use a resource that actually teaches the concepts. If you're trying to improve your score, like we all are, do more practice and review your mistakes deeply. If you're trying to stop forgetting things, use flashcards and spaced repetition. It's the best for memory retention. But whatever resource you are using, make sure you're using it actively, okay? Pause, recall, explain, predict, review, teach it back, figure out what went wrong, because the MCAT doesn't reward the student who technically spent the most hours studying. It rewards the student who used those hours the most effectively. And that's it for today. So hey, good luck with your studies. You got this.